Hello, this is your host Akhil Navluri, and welcome to the brand new episode of the TechnoSpace podcast series. In this podcast episode, I'm super thrilled and honored to welcome one of the most eminent and experienced leaders of the IT industry, Mr. Jacek Brzeziński, who happens to be based out of Poznan, Wielkopolskie, Poland, and he is the Associate Director, Account Management Partner of the company Kyndryl. And it gives me an absolute pleasure to welcome him to this podcast episode of mine. And it's really, really nice to, connect, from one part of the world and to the other part of the world in Europe. So it gives me a supreme pleasure to welcome you. Jacek, for the people who are, new to Poznan or anything about that, would you like to, give an overview about how is the situation there in Poznan and, for the world audience, if they want to, know your city better?
Absolutely. Nice to talk to you, Akhil. Great. My pleasure to participate in this podcast. So Poznań is actually a very convenient city, I would say, just in the middle between Warsaw and Berlin. So it's pretty well communicated. It's, as I said, convenient, not too crowded, nice people living here. So I just find it really cool.
Amazing. So, since you told that, your city is based in the intersection of, Berlin and, the other place, Warsaw, do you have any, influx of German population in Poznan?
In fact, yes. There are strong historical connections driven by sometimes very difficult history. Between both nations.
Yeah.
We are now really kind of coexisting in a perfect shape, I must say. But yes, definitely there were strong influences. Many people in Poznań speak German, or particularly the older generations. And I think also it has a strong footprint on the mental part, on the way people here think, particularly about the commitments, about the business, about the strict perception of important, like numerical things, business things, but also the way they perceive life. So it's less like less chaotic, more organized, more predictable, I must say.
Okay.
Which I find good. It's close to my kind of attitude. Yes.
Fantastic, Jacek. I feel that, the best part of the world is university and diversity. And I really see a lot, with respect to Poznan and, that relationship between the Polish people and the German people. So would love to visit Poznan sometime in the future. So I keep my options open and let's say, add it to my bucket list now. Tick.
Absolutely.
All right, Jacek. So without any further ado, let's kick off with our podcast session. All right. So Jacek, mainly, I just wanted to understand from your end, like, how would you like to, talk about the timeline of your journey in the IT industry?
All right, absolutely. It was, I think, quite interesting because it started in the interesting times. It was like second half of 90s of the previous century, and Poland was kind of an emerging country after the fall of communism. We were trying to have different paths, trying to explore different ways to get closer to the Western societies, to Western kind of business communities, and so on. So, and I was quite lucky because quite soon after my studies, I was engaged into the application development team, working for Siemens. So again, those German connections pop up. And it was like the first touch with IT business in Germany. And apart from that, yes, I will come back to this later on, but this was a very nice start, a good start for the future kind of business path. Yes, so I started from this engagement in the development team to support Siemens products, and then I moved I changed the city. I moved from Poznań to Olsztyn, and I joined Michelin, their factory, being there in Olsztyn to support the IT department, and then to become the head of the IT infrastructure department. And then through the outsourcing contract, I was sold to IBM. So I started as a project manager in 2004, and then moved to the role of delivery executive in 2008. In the meantime, moved to the south of Poland, to Bielsko-Biała, started to work for another client. And then in 2016, I moved to Poznań, back to Poznań. So it was kind of back to the roots. And I also changed my role to more wider one, to the regional one. I was in charge of EMEA. And then in 2022, I again moved on up the hierarchy to the customer partner role. And in the meantime, the company which I was working for changed. I mean, it was spun out from IBM to Kyndryl. So now I'm with Kyndryl. One important thing which I would like to share before we go further, Akhil, is that whatever we go further with and whatever discussion we have going forward, please take into account, I will just share my personal opinion. It's just sharing my personal view, not my company's view.
Noted. Completely. That's a beautiful timeline, Jacek. Now, Jacek, when you moved overseas, from Poland, did you feel that, there was a change in personality and, the way you were thinking in the IT industry did, that shape your, your approach even better?
Well, if we think about changing the roles and changing the broadening the scope, definitely there was a cultural aspect that was very, very meaningful. I mean, you really find the major differences working with very, very far other parts of the world. And this is very inspiring. This is interesting. This is also an opportunity to learn a lot in terms of how people talk to each other, how people perceive the challenges, the problems. As I mentioned, I was formatted in a very specific way by my local culture, right? And then if you work with people expressing completely different mentality, I mean completely, without any kind of appreciation here, yeah, it's basically just different. It's you have to work hard to get on top of that, to get to keep the business running, despite or in favor of these additional qualities. Yeah.
Fantastic, Jacek. That's pretty much insightful. Now, Jacek, can you share your experience of working as an application designer, Poznan University of Technology, a few years ago? Like, how was that like?
That was really interesting because it was like it was yet before the Agile Manifesto. So basically, we're kind of replicating the waterfall approach. For the software development, you can imagine it had certain deficiencies, like challenges to meet the deadlines, like resynchronizing the velocity of different parts of the team, like getting the proper and timely feedback from the customers, like to even get to the end users, yeah, because we were basically working with IT department of Siemens and then Tektronix, where we were just talking to the man in the middle, right? To the people who were just representing then going forward this product and services to their clients. So all of those travels, which were so nicely articulated in the Agile Manifesto, were actually the ones we were facing. But apart from that, it was a perfect time. It was a perfect time where I learned a lot about teamwork, about responsibility in front of your peers. You have to be accountable. If you fail, then you get this feedback immediately, and it's sometimes it hurts, right? But that's all right. I mean, you are learning quickly thanks to them, and I was very lucky to work with fantastic people.
Amazing. Now, when we talk about the universities, everyone gets that thought, it's about students. So when you were part of that particular project, or let's say when you're working as an application designer, did you have any certain, students of the Poznan University, part of your team, or, who, pitched in to help you out?
At the very late stage, I think there was a time where because basically the team was hiring new people from the IT computer science studies, so exactly from the same university. So this was kind of the sourcing stream. And they were, in most cases, just after the studies or at the very last stage of the studies. Yes.
Okay. That's fantastic. So were they like, I mean, did the university even hire some kind of interns also, with respect? I understand that, they were at
I
the
don't
last stage
think
of the
so.
study.
No, because
Okay.
this I must say it was a pretty good curriculum and from the theoretical perspective, a good preparation for this work. Of course, at the time I was also running my own business as a software developer, so it was helpful to get some additional perspectives, definitely on top of your
Okay.
studies.
Right.
But I must say the people who were joining our team were really kind of mature, open-minded, and very, very skilled.
Perfect. That's pretty good to know now. So which year was this in, your stint, being at the, Poznan University of Technology, like?
Yeah, it was between 1996 and 1999.
Oh, okay. Years back, let's say 30 years back almost.
Yes,
Nice.
indeed. Yes, indeed. A completely different world, I must say.
Yeah, pre-technological world, but yes, I would say that, before pre-technological world, before complexity, it was a little bit simple, but again, it had its own challenges, as we, progress into the technological phase.
That's true. I mean, yes, you are absolutely right, Akhil. I mean, the life cycle of the software products, the pace of change. Of course, there was no cloud. There was no kind of easy to reach tools that everybody could actually use from day one. Yeah, so there was some entry barrier that not many people could overstep, and particularly in Poland, which was very underinvested at the time. So
Mhm.
yes, as I said, we were very lucky because we had this very close reach to mature, quite rich corporation, yeah, and
Right.
with a good open entry to the market, yeah. So that was very fortunate here, yeah.
That's amazing. Jacek, now, Jacek, you are, a head of IT infrastructure for a very reputed tire manufacturing company. Now,
Mhm.
having said that, what were the key differences that you have observed in the IT department there?
It was again a very nice experience because it was kind of tiny in terms of the department size. We had, I don't remember, it was around 6, 7 employees. So it was again for me a perfect opportunity to learn how to work with people who kind of report to you. Also, I mean, hierarchically, so you basically have to take care of them throughout the full kind of span of control all those aspects from the payroll until up to the technical objectives, yeah, and development. So it was very enlightening to me, and again, it also brought me an opportunity to work with the mother company in France.
Okay.
So, and
Huh.
by the way, it was again there were a couple of surprises on the way. Like for example, I had to face the
Okay.
situation that French companies pretty often provide their interfaces in French. So if you call the French corporation at that time, I must say, okay, at that time, if you call the French corporation's service desk, pretty often you had to speak French. Yeah,
Okay. Right.
even in IT, even in IT. So that was
Oh,
an interesting
right.
takeaway. By the way, it motivated me to learn French. So at that time, it was kind of additional benefit. And well, apart from that, it was a really interesting time because of all those good things that are brought by the fact that we are part of the big corporation. So and you are owning the department, which means you own the budget, you own the business objectives. You have total control over, how you manage this budget and how you manage these objectives, and you have a good close reach to the business. Yeah, but
Okay.
basically you can see the business behind the
Right.
window. So that was definitely good, and of course you have some suppliers who bring you a lot of Christmas gifts every year. So this is also
Okay.
an interesting benefit. But seriously, it was again a good time. By the way, it was in terms of the differences with the regular IT businesses. it was also interesting because there were different ways to get reorganized. Later on, and we'll probably come back to this topic, I was very deeply involved in kind of onshoring versus offshoring of the delivery teams. In Michelin, I was kind of leading onboarding of additional department into mine. So it was like a first M&A experience in my career. Very fruitful, I would say. Very interesting. Not the easiest one. But yes, I must say it was again not maybe a sandbox, because I was, these were real teams with real objectives and supporting real business, but definitely a good opportunity to learn.
That's a beautiful experience, Jacek. Really hearing from you, really, I went into that particular thing, and I was just visualizing, okay, what is Jacek talking about? And yes, I mean, that's pretty insightful. Now, you were talking that, you worked for the tire manufacturing company. Now, I'm pretty keen to understand, like, who are your, target customers? Like, which country, was the entire operation being focused on?
Well, directly, we were just supporting the Polish factory. Yeah, so it was basically clearly a manufacturing business, which was concentrated in one place in Olsztyn, and with certain like commercial entity in Warsaw, but it was just a commercial entity. So you spend most of the time with the local business. From time to time, traveling to France just to get connected with IT supervising teams over there, right? But yeah, you had this kind of local accountability, and as I mentioned earlier, close feedback loop directly from the business.
All right. I mean, going back to that, that fun side where you told that, when the support team used to answer the call, they used to speak in French. So what was your first rendezvous like when you started speaking in French? Did you, have that fear that, what do I answer? Or did you manage it out with, basic words like bonjour and, ça va and all those words?
Okay, believe me, I don't know if you speak French, but comparing to English, well, French is quite a challenge. I mean, it's
Yes.
with English you can start quickly and you can start communicating quickly. With French, it's not that easy. You really have to invest a lot to run the very basic communication. Yeah. So that was the hard path. That was the hard path, and I think it took me quite some time to get better in understanding, because additional thing. In English, you pretty often talk to non-native English speakers. So the selection of words is different. Also pronunciation is different. With French case, my French case, it was basically talking to the natives all the time. Yeah, so it was kind of additional difficulty.
That's true. That's true. I totally understand what you're talking about, when it comes to the French vocabulary, because I have done, I've learned French on a very basic level. I understand the basics, but I don't communicate in French. So that's a regret. I have to get back to my French classes pretty soon. And then let's see.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So now I'm pretty keen to, understand this. Like, can you give me an insight, into being the associate director, the account management partner for your company, Kyndryl?
All right. Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, I think it was a very important aspect which you brought about those cultural differences. Yeah, because this was really the kind of major change that I had to align with and acquire those additional skills, which I didn't have a good opportunity to test earlier. So yes, definitely this was one of the important aspect. Then there was a kind of need for to keep the business stable and to keep the business optimized. And this brought us to the point, and again, it was not just me, definitely. I worked as a part of the broader team with very smart people, believe me. And we had this kind of challenge, how to optimize the global service for the global client in a way that is both cost efficient and still very effective. So we tested various delivery models. And again, this was one of the kind of experience that I never went through before, like how to balance what is what do you really need to be close to the client, very kind of in an onshore mode, and what can be concentrated and optimized offshore, so that you can still deliver as the good quality, but at the lower cost. And that was kind of a staged approach. We first were more like focused on this onshore model, which worked pretty well, but then we faced some kind of financial challenges in terms of business profitability. So again, we were kind of incentivized to think about the offshore model, and we tested it. And you know what? It looked perfectly on the paper, but when we really started to work in that mode, it turned out that the interfaces. I think that was the most difficult part. The interfaces between the service management and the delivery teams where there was too much friction in it, and it was extremely hard to get out of this friction. When you work with in the offshore mode, you need to take care of this kind of additional effort you need to invest to keep the processes smoothly running.
Exactly.
So that was, I think, the main reason, or at least one of the main reasons, why we ultimately decided to move back to more like onshoring approach, so that we have much better control end to end on the quality and the timeline of the process flows. So that was an interesting journey. I think we have kind of tested various options and kind of optimized at the end of the day. And then I think what we moved on next was, let's say, another level of complexity, because I started with my team to work on the embedding of the innovation ecosystem into like this kind of cost-efficient, cost-optimized organizational model, right? And so this was the next step, I must say. Do you have any questions so far? I mean, do you have any concerns, anything you would like to?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, that completely gives me an idea. Now, when we talk about the data modeling and all of that, right? When you had the, let's say, that issue with the creating the interfaces for the service management and, the delivery side. Now, when it comes to data modeling, like, did you, create the data model, on a piece of paper, or did you do it, like in an automated way through, different web browsers? So how did you take it?
It was less about the data modeling, here, to be honest, because we were more talking about and working with clearly like ITIL-based managed services. And it is another interesting point, because this is the model which was developed some time ago when IT was shaped much differently. There was no SAS, no software as a service, no cloud, no DevOps. I mean, at that time when the managed services emerged, the IT teams struggled with some kind of very basic things, like how to keep the operating system up and running and patched and compliant, how to keep the processes followed. If you think about change management, for example, one of the key challenges in IT history, I think, I mean, how to make sure that whatever change you implement in the system is actually approved. Yeah, so many of the big IT corporations at the beginning of the century were actually acquiring this IT model, so IT infrastructure library, to bring more maturity to this still relatively not sophisticated management suite. Yeah, because actually, if you think about it, it does not take too much effort or intellectual brightness to simply keep the operating systems up and running. It is not as kind of complicated as data modeling, as you mentioned, right? Or AI, machine learning, and things like this, things which we deal with today. So at the time, the whole domain of the operation was relatively simple. The challenge was how to globalize it, how to scale it Again, we are talking about the time where the cloud was not yet there. So how to scale it in the way that in each and every country all around the globe, those services are delivered exactly the same way with the same SLA targets, right? With the same interface to the client, with the same governance structure, yeah? So there were completely different challenges at that time. The way we got organized around them was just a reflection of these challenges.
That's fantastic, Jacek. Now, Jacek, for the audience, I was just telling that, you're like the associate director, account management, account partner management, but I didn't add this particular, this suffix saying EMEA. So apologies for that. So, so now talking about Jacek, so he has the complete, that title, the associate director, account partner management, EMEA. Now, Jacek, when you have this entire thing, that portfolio of the EMEA, so do you find, the entire thing to be very, let's say, time consuming when you have to, connect with multiple people, across different time zones when it comes to the clients and customers?
No, but I try to complicate things. I don't like to be bored. I don't like the routine, So I started to talk about this kind of innovation initiative and building innovation ecosystem into this kind of cost optimized and efficient model. And this is actually something which keeps me running and keeps me awake at night. So the thing is that if you think about the old organizational model around IT, which, as I mentioned, played a bit about onshoring, offshoring in trying to find the most financially optimized models. Then at some point in time, if you notice that those old mature models like managed services models are being replaced, or at least the demand for those services is not at the level that you experienced a couple of years back, you need to change something. And it's different if you are changing the business model of the small company which is scaled through cloud compared to the changing of the business model of the global corporation. And again, I want to abstract from my current employer and the company I work for the good reason. But the thing here, the challenge is the same. There are many similar IT businesses all around the world, which I think struggle with the same trouble. How to re-innovate the business model, which was developed over the many years and kind of cost optimized to extreme, so that if you try to embed this innovation, which basically has to follow completely different principles, basically you need to what needs to materialize is this concept of ambidexterity. Yeah, so that you are effectively building the company running at two speeds. One is taking care of the existing business, and another one is developing business models for the new businesses to come. And those businesses will operate based on, as I mentioned, very, very different criteria. And not even that. What is even more complicated is that in the old reality, you were focused on stability. You were focused on risk aversion. So you are trying to remove risk from the services you deliver. And you were basically operating in the very stable environment and working with the clients who expect the same. Now, if you're trying to develop an innovation system, ecosystem which works on the very different principles. So it needs to have a high risk appetite. It needs to be ready for failure, right? It needs to be agile and flexible to change from one day to another. I'm a big fan of Eric Ries with his lean startup concept, and this is exactly where those differences come from. So you need to be ready to pivot anytime, and you need to learn quickly, so that the failures you make really bring you value to be better in the next step. So as I mentioned, very different dynamics. Yeah. So again, and I tried it, within my span of control, and well, I must say again, it was a bumpy road. I was I was very lucky to meet great people around me, and this was basically the lever. This was the success decisive factor, because actually without them I would be lost right away. So again, if you find the right people, if you build a positive attitude around the initiative you have, then there's, I mean, the chance for success is much higher.
Fantastic, Jacek. When the moment you were speaking, I could see a lot of passion, that you have with your current work and a lot of things. So really, I take that as a huge inspiration. Now, having said that, Jacek, you are working for I mean, you have an experience in a very reputed, or let's say, an eminent, corporate firm. Now, having said that, with a very, stable business model. Now, having said that, do you find it very easy or difficult to, explore the exploration path? To find all these, innovative products. So, I mean, how does that go on with?
Yeah. So part of the answer, I think I've already provided. I think the good thing is to get this kind of worked out, to understand that if you jump into this kind of exploration path, you have to deal with very different challenges. And if you try to frame it, I mean, there are really, very good models. If you look around, there is a Kinefin model developed by David Snowden. You can find David on the LinkedIn. Very smart, experienced person. He tried to frame it in the way that there is a kind of different system thinking activities that you may deal with. You may deal with ordered environments, or you may deal with complex or chaotic ones, and it can be easily translated into the organizational challenges and organizational approach, simply because of the Conway law. So the thing is that if you are moving from this ordered domain, so he further differentiated into simple and complicated. If you move away from this ordered domain to the complex one, where the causality, cause and effect links, relationships are very unclear, and there is, you need to probe, sense, and react. This is very different from the ordered domains. Yeah, probe, sense, and react. So the thing here is that the experimentation is the starting point. Without that, without getting the like first-hand experience, experimenting, and again, there are many good frameworks for building good experiments, really good books. So there is not an unknown domain. The thing is that it is quite unknown in the environments with established, heritage of the operations in the ordered domain. And this is something which is good to understand, because only then you will be prepared for the failures, and these failures will come inevitable. Yeah, so this is the thing. You can get better prepared. You will not avoid the failures, but you can get better prepared mentally.
Indeed, Jacek. Now, Jacek, in our previous conversation, when we just connected for the first time, you told me that hackathons are also very important. So just tell tell our listeners, like, why is hackathon really important, in a IT firm?
Yeah, it brings me back to this thought that we discussed earlier about the speed of learning, because again, in this exploration part, what gives you the benefit and advantage over your competition is how fast you learn. And this is something I'm quite confident about. Yeah, you can talk about growth, you can talk about new business, you can talk about money, but in my opinion, doesn't really matter. I mean, this comes next. What comes first is the speed of learning. How effective you are in building the environment when you maximize this learning capability. So hackathons is good. Hackathons are good because they boost energy into the team to stimulate this learning process. I don't know any more effective way to do it than running hackathons, because it generates this fantastic, safe environment where you can fail without kind of any consequences, either like relationship consequences or business consequences. You can experiment and fail easily and learn from it. And that's the point. And then it also allows to conceptualize the outcome in a way that is easy to sell. So part of each hackathon is a pitch presentation. So at the end of the day, the team has to put really a good discipline into the outcome to present it in the meaningful way and to convince the judge, the jury, so that you have a chance to win. So this element of competition is another booster. So again, this is a perfect method to initiate, to start, and to increase the energy level. And I was coming back to this hackathon idea whenever I needed this kind of additional boost of energy.
That is true. I have a very interesting anecdote to share with you. When I joined my previous company and when I joined as a fresher with the company. So I was from the batch 2 and there was batch 1. So batch 2, we used to connect in the morning. We used to have one of our senior who used to give us a training, about a particular platform, that this is this. And we used to feel like, okay, this is how it is, it's going pretty relaxed. But then finally we went to the office and we just saw the batch 1 people being part of a hackathon or something like that, POC. And then we got to know that, everyone is pushing them out of their comfort zone and, they are made to speak rather than, see, they have created it, but they are made to speak like what they have made. It's not like, not any escapism kind of thing, okay, I have made it. Now I want to go away from that. So I was like, okay.
Absolutely. A different word indeed, a different word.
Yes. First you have that scare, but once you're part of it, you just enjoy the process so much and you'll have that, that self-contentment when when you give the presentations to everyone. So I feel, hackathons have to be a must in every organization.
True. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. But still, after the hackathons, another thing to think about it, and you need to think it in advance, is what comes next. Because, the worst thing you can do to your team is to waste this energy. And I failed with it many times. Believe me.
Right.
It's extremely hard because then you have to think about how to scale this outcome, how to translate it into a prototype which can be further developed in the organized manner. And again, we are not alone here. There are good frameworks. I found a really good one in the domain-driven design books which talk about event storming. So with event storming, you can get the team together and think about it, again, in a structured way, where the problems are, how the process is mapped, where the problems are, where the key persons are, where the points of frictions are, and then focus on what matters most. And this is really important, to distill what really matters to bring the most increment. If we talk about in the Scrum framework, so basically this is important to maintain this energy, not to waste it, and to ensure that develop and you move forward.
Absolutely, that actually gives me an idea on that. So I'm just pretty much keen to and curious to ask you this, Jacek. So would you like to shed some spotlight into into the project that you were part of, which it talks about the let's say the restructuring of a particular project, and how would you like to sum it up, and what is your take on the importance of the IT industry in Poland with respect to the skill set of the people?
Right. So again, as I mentioned at the beginning, I was lucky at the outset of my professional career to find myself in a good place with good people and with good opportunity. And the same reoccurred, I think, in late 2021. I think it was mid to late 2021, when the decision to spin off from IBM was already made. And we had this kind of very insightful conversations locally, what we need to change going forward. Both for the local and international projects, how to adjust the strategy for the years to come. And again, I was lucky enough to be part of this team. So it was a good opportunity to get into the breadth and depth of how the strategy is constructed. I learned quite a lot. Also, I mean, from the guys who wrote really good books about strategy, like Richard Rummel with his Good Strategy and Bad Strategy, where he gives the example of NVIDIA company as the interesting reference how the good strategy is being built. The book comes from 2011, so it's like almost 15 years old, but it's quite interesting to see that those foundations, I mean, good strategy thinking brings benefit in even long term. Yeah. So so that was for me again this project, this restructurization effort was kind of a good opportunity for me to learn more about strategy itself. Yeah, and here again, if I may give a kind of good trigger where thinking about strategy should begin. I have in front of me this video from Steve Jobs, actually, from some early stages when he was kind of struggling with good strategy for Apple, and he came with this kind of conclusion about working backwards. This way of thinking was done, by the way, absorbed by Amazon. They wrote an interesting book about it. That you need to start with a client. You need to start with a client, and you need to figure out what unique value the client will appreciate, and only then work backwards to technology. This is key. I mean, if you work the opposite way, it just doesn't work. I mean, if you are trying to inventorize the technology that you own and push it towards the client, it will not work. And again, this was an insightful thought, and again reflected then in many case studies. The one of NVIDIA is also interesting because it's kind of it shows how the good strategy is then allows you to measure your progress, allows you to see if you're getting the right outcomes or not. And sometimes we hear about the good strategy is the strategy to growth. Well, it's just kind of a fake. I mean, you need to have a really good understanding of where the benefits, where the competitive advantage is generated. In NVIDIA case, it was simply they recognized very simple thing. They recognized that the cycle of releasing of the new CPU chips by that time giants like Intel and AMD, they were like too lengthy. They took like 18 months to develop.
Okay.
And NVIDIA just brought an idea how to shorten this cycle time to 6 months. As simple as that. Easy to measure.
Yes.
More difficult to implement, but still, if you are focused, if you are really focused on implementation of this particular strategy, you have a chance to succeed.
Absolutely. Now, when we talked about this project, the restructuring the strategy. Now, in that particular thing, like what were the back-end technology? So let's say, the frameworks that you used, being part of it.
Well, there was not really any specific one. If I think back about how we approached this, I think we discussed it this kind of similar way. I mean, what industries, what clients, what target segments we need to focus. And focus, if I think it's key. It's also, again, I'm sorry, it's referring back to Steve Jobs, who used to share another interesting thought, that it's more important to decide what you are not doing, what you are not focused, what is outside of your client base, of your commercial activity. Than to decide what you are focused on, and I think this is the most difficult decision, really, and that's my experience. And I think this also take away, if I'm observing, how different companies behave, to be focused, just to avoid the noise. And nowadays, it's the noise is everywhere. So it's really important to distill what really you want to be best in class.
That is true. That is true. Since you just gave the example of, Steve Jobs saying that first focus on what your goal is, how you want to start the thing, and then focus on the commercial aspect. That happens with everyone in the IT industry because when they join a project, they first try to acquaint themselves with the technology that they're part of, or with the platform
Correct.
that they're part of, or the code that
Yes,
they're coding. But finally, and they're like, okay, we are satisfied, we have created this. But then again, the commercial aspect changes, and they're like, okay, the client says, I want it this way. So a lot of permutations and combinations happen. So I feel this is a golden statement with which Mr. Late Steve Jobs has presented. I really say
yeah,
that this is something which is like a huge connector for all the people across the world hearing this.
absolutely. But Akhil, you just reminded me about one thing. Actually, we used to refer to some framework on top of those kind of guiding rules. I had a pretty good workshop about blue ocean strategy. I don't know if you are familiar with this. This is a kind of the relatively simple thing to acquire. It's
Right.
talking about breaking this barrier of value versus cost. So the way you can challenge this kind of commodity versus
Hmm.
high performing and costly alternatives. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the blue ocean strategy is kind of giving you tools through
Yeah.
some kind of strategy canvas, through in investigating, who are your non-customers, where
Yes.
are those
Yes.
kind of
Hmm.
unserved segments of market that would possibly like your value proposition. So a couple of interesting tools which you can use when you are really on the crossroads and you are kind of blind, where to go. So Blue Ocean worked really well. And then I must say, Strategizer, my favorite business model canvas. This is a fantastic tool to really structure at the end of the day how your business model should work. Very good one. Whenever I work on the business model canvas with my peers, trying to also help with building those models for the new services, it's always very insightful. We all learn a lot. So yeah, definitely.
Indeed, Jacek. Now, Jacek, I mean, I'm pretty keen to ask, like, I just asked you the technological backend technologies and frameworks. Now I'm going to ask about your expertise. So on that note, would you like to, talk about your expertise, on the lines of cloud FinOps, strategy consulting, data modeling, and again, engineering management. And having said that, also, would you like to, talk about the number of certifications that you've been awarded with?
Thank you. I mean, this is again an opportunity for me to a bit broaden horizons. Talking about FinOps, just to give an example, with FinOps, I learned again. It inspired me because it talks about the value creation, and it's the easiest way to inspire me if we to talk about the value creation. The
Yeah.
interesting thing here is with FinOps, you can relatively quickly get the meaningful improvement.
Yeah.
Relatively quickly, particularly the company has a major cloud footprint, which compared to the previous part of our discussion, like strategy development, there's a difference. So this is one of the challenge with strategy. You don't have those like short paths to build something that perfectly works and to demonstrate, okay, look, CEO, this is the perfectly working business model, just scale it.
Yeah.
So with strategy, it takes much more time and a
Right.
lot of effort. And at the end of the day, it really requires CEO support. With the initiatives like FinOps, you can go bottom up. So you can build the meaningful improvements in the small steps with relatively small effort. And this is something quite interesting because this means that FinOps really can be there is no entry barrier level so high as for the other domains of activities. And that's again, FinOps brings additionally, of course, a lot of interesting structure and process-based approach, how to, what to start with, how to allocate
Yes.
the cost, how to tag the resources, and then how to make important decisions about, reservations and so on. So this is interesting topic per se, but again, in the context of other kind of domains of knowledge, also good, interesting findings on, different velocities with which you can develop various competencies. It's important, I think. But again, Akil, it's not about certificates. Basically, it's the thing here, which I would like us to really to talk about briefly is, does it really matter? Let me ask this question: whatever number of certificates you have, does it really matter?
Yes,
what do you think?
That is true. I mean, first, certifications are important, but again, you need to have the skill that's associated with it, because I feel, in my previous podcast also, many of my other guests, they told you, it's not like you need to always have those badges. You need to have the skill that's associated with it. So
that's
what my take
I
is.
agree. Skills are key. I fully agree. Particularly in the times where, information became a commodity. So it's the old ways of acquiring knowledge, of getting educated, do not work anymore. Yeah, because information is cheap. Not only cheap, you can get the synthesize information through whatever Gen AI model you have in a second. Yeah, it's no longer the question of getting more information. It's more a question of how you manage the information, how you critically assess the value of the information, how you remove the noise, how you eliminate the noise. And back to our previous discussion, how you get back to the experience.
That's right.
Not the theory, but the experience. Yeah, because experience is something which matters. Yeah. I think it's, we are living in a very, very interesting times. Very interesting times because of these different promises that are brought by AI. Some of them are really fake. Some of them are really misleading. And here, I was thinking about some good references in how to get out of this dummy noise. And what came to my mind is the work of Nicholas Nassim Taleb. He wrote this seminal book, Black Swan. I don't know if you had a chance to read it. The thing is about how to, again, back to the experience, how to focus on what really matters now and what is proved by the evidences, instead of rather conceptualizing what will come based on what has happened in the past. Of course, if you look for further traces, you will find a lot of contributors on the way, because this is really, believe me, nothing that was just developed now. There's a long history of the philosophical trends which led us to this place, and which are currently, I think, the best protection against this noise. I had some kind of 2 years of study of philosophy on the Poznan University, so this kind of makes me a bit more immune to these trends.
That's right. I mean, sometimes, you need to mix the right approach. I mean, philosophy is not boring at all, but understanding philosophy and, mixing it with the technological aspect, that's pretty interesting. And it is required, sometimes certain skills, honestly, Jacek, sometimes we have those skills, or let's say that interesting aspect that's not linked to the technological side, but we don't know how they're going to be, applicable. But some way or the other, they will actually, get integrated really well. So.
Absolutely. And I'm really looking forward how this is going to further develop, how this, Gen AI will ultimately settle as the dust settles into something which can be effectively used going forward. I really like the way Simon Wardley described it in his book about so-called Wardley maps. When looking back to the history, his point is that every innovation at the end of the day becomes the basis, the background for further innovation. So it gets commoditized, and based on this commoditized innovation, the new innovations can emerge. I really like this concept, and I believe with Gen AI we'll face the same.
Yes, absolutely. That's true. Now, which year was this in, Jacek, when you came across this particular terminology called cloud FinOps?
This year,
Just
I
this
mean,
year,
uh,
2025.
I heard about FinOps a couple of years back, but this year I had a very, accidentally I had a good opportunity to have a meeting with my client and a FinOps expert from my company, and this was an
Mhm.
inspiration. I mean, I found it well.
Nice.
We are talking about value creation. That's okay. That's something that has to be interesting. Yeah. So let's explore it. So okay, where is the education path? Where is the source of knowledge? So that's a short story.
Fantastic. That's amazing. Now, on a very cheeky note, Jessica, I'll ask you this. Did you ever come across any certification that was there in your native language in Polish? Like, the entire certification exam in Polish instead of English.
I don't think so.
But do you
I don't
think
think
there is
so.
a possibility of that in the future? Probably. On a very,
Maybe
let's say,
yes, but
hypothetical scale.
yeah, again, but it's I think why English is good for running or for taking the courses and running and making the certificates because of the terminology, which it's
Hmm.
simply easier to work with going
Yeah,
forward. I mean, if you work on translations, there is something lost in translation. There is this kind of
yes,
loss that you can't handle, and certain terms just have to be kind of repeatable and be taken as they are in English, in the source language,
that's
to
right.
make the most use of it. I struggle with quite a lot. I'm trying to study now the Gen AI topic more in detail with all those complexities around, tensors and encoding, decoding, and self-attention. So I find it, I'm reading some books translated to Polish, and it's kind of you always struggle to understand what this Polish term refers to. It's inconvenient, just inconvenient.
That's amazing, Jacek. So, Jacek, before we conclude our podcast session, let's take
Mhm.
a lighter route in the form of a rapid fire round. So, all this while, I was completely bombarding you with questions about about your journey, about being
Mhm.
an application designer, about your views, with respect to the different technological aspects in your country, and then how you have helped out with hackathons and all of that. So that was pretty insightful. Now we'll take a lighter route in the form of a rapid fire round, highlighting your interests and likes. Are you ready with the first question of the rapid fire round, Jacek?
Let's try, but I don't guarantee you'll be satisfied with the answers.
No worries. Just have a
Let's
good,
go.
just think, it's a conversation between two friends. So nothing is wrong, nothing is
Absolutely.
right.
Let's go.
Perfect. Perfect then. So the first question to you, Jacek. So what is your favorite sports team? Or let's say, who's your favorite athlete?
Well, generally, again, I'm not a big sport fan. I like certain individuals, like Iga Świątek in tennis. Yes, she's kind of the person who I think deserves her recognition, definitely, because she had a pretty hard way to get to her successes. So yes, certain persons more than like sport disciplines.
More sports thing. Okay. So and now heading on for the next one. I'm like, since I'm Indian by origin, I always have this particular question so that what is your favorite Indian food and which you always like to try?
It's yeah. I don't know if I have one because my short experience with well, I was in
Uh-huh.
Bangalore some time ago. And the food was very, I mean, it was kind of unrecognizable to me because it was kind of so, spicy.
Yeah, 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 I
So
understand that.
I'm not an expert in Indian food at all, definitely. And my takeaway was, let's maybe stay away a bit from this experience for the future because it hurts sometimes. I'm
I
sorry
know
for
that
that,
that's
but I'm really not kind of judging. It's just the very kind of human experience which I took away.
no worries, no worries. Everyone has their own, opinion, and I totally respect that. Now, okay, away from the Indian food, what is that Polish food that you feel that the audience need to learn, need to know about? Famous Polish food. Except, excluding the likes of pierogi. I know pierogi is a very famous thing. Apart from that.
All right, are you ready for the hard run? I mean, there is a soup in Poland which I used to eat every Christmas. It's called Chernina. It's called Chernina, and it's based on the blood from the fish or from the duck. Fish is perfect, and you can make it sweet. You can make it a bit more kind of sour, but basically it's a unique experience. I mean, well, not everybody's ready for that, but you can try.
Okay, that's a very let's say extreme kind of a thing. It's pretty extreme. Yeah, that's how it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, when people talk about Poland, I mean, people from India or let's say people from the US, they have a little bit of opinion that it's Warsaw or let's say Krakow. But tell me about any particular Poland city, or would you like to talk about that part of Poland that people have not explored or that they need to explore?
Well, there are some, as you mentioned, I mean, Warsaw, Krakow, they are well-known cities which are worth to visit. Do I have any specific cities where I would advise to go? Definitely, there are interesting cities and places in the eastern part of Poland. I spent around 10 days in Olsztyn, and this is a Warmia part, a beautiful place with many lakes around, clean air, almost no industry except this kind of Michelin factory. So you can find beautiful places which are not well recognized in Poland. I then moved to Bielsko-Biała, and it's yet another fantastic, beautiful place in the mountains. You can really get and very close to the border, to the south border. You can quite easily get to Austria, to Vienna. I think the distance is shorter than to Warsaw, and Bielsko-Biała is beautiful as well. So again, there are smaller cities which really can attract your attention, but you need to spend some time over there. I mean, you won't see it at first sight. If you settle there, you will see the benefits.
Yes, I'm some person. I'm that person, who doesn't believe that, you should always believe what people say on Instagram. This is the viral place. I feel see the place for yourself and enjoy that rather than, because they overrate the place, or let's say they rate the place, which I feel is not right.
Exactly. I agree.
So I think these two places will be in my bucket list. Let's see if I come to Poland, I'll surely visit them.
Absolutely.
All right. Perfect. I'll give you two choices here. So which one do you prefer the most? Is it the beaches or is it the mountains?
The mountains.
Any specific reason for that?
Because it's more active. I hate lying on the beach. Just doing nothing. No, that's not my kind of perfect time spent approach. So definitely mountains in an active way, walking through the mountains. This is really what I like most, being in Bielsko-Biała.
Fantastic. That's amazing. Now, what is your favorite movie franchise? Like, is it, I'll just give you four options. Do you like the James Bond franchise? Do you like the Marvel franchise? Do you like the Indiana Jones franchise? Or let's say, do you like the Harry Potter franchise? Which one do you, select from these?
I'm sorry, none of them, really.
Okay. What is your favorite franchise? If I can, just put, four of them away.
Well, I like Tarantino. Tarantino's film.
Okay.
Yeah, Quentin Tarantino, absolutely. I like some of the Italian schools, like Visconti, like I lost the name. Anyway, there were some good Italian films. La Strada. I just lost the maker who made this film. So yes, and on top of that, in addition to this, there are good Polish films. Zanussi made fantastic films. Kieślowski made fantastic films, really good, insightful ones. So yes, there was a Polish school of filmmakers which really created a lot of inspiring movies. Yeah.
Is there any famous, Polish movie that the people should see, listeners should have a look at, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, Kieślowski's films are pretty well known already, I think. So whatever you take or I think maybe inspiring. Is there anything else? I like Zanussi's. It's called Barwy ochronne. So it's like protection measures or protection colors in a free translation, very free translation.
Right.
This is a very insightful one. What else? There are some, there's some interesting films with good jazz music in the background, like Farewell to Maria. There is also a very unusual film based on Witkacz's novel. Farewell to Autumn. This is the more like heavy one. But yes, I think there are a couple of them which are not very new. Because again, I have a trouble to understand Polish modern movies as much as I have trouble to understand the modern music. I much prefer classics. I much prefer classic. I think there's nothing better than Mozart's Requiem still. Yeah. So yes.
That's nice. That's nice. Like when we talk about the classic music, Jacek, do you have any favorite number, favorite tune, or let's say anything that you always like to listen, since you're not a fan of the today's music, but the classic music that you like?
Well, yeah, that's what I just said. I mean, Mozart's Requiem is, to me, that's something the best in the world. I mean, there's nothing, in my opinion, again, there's nothing better that have been ever developed by any musician. So this would be my favorite one. Of course, I like Beethoven sonatas or Rachmaninoff, but Mozart's Requiem is kind of the top best
choice. So the final question to you, like, if there is any Polish word that you would like to teach me, what would that be?
Cześć. Can you pronounce
Sorry?
it? Cześć.
What's that?
Cześć means hi.
Cześć.
Hi.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay. Cześć. That's a pretty interesting one. I got the word. Did I get it right or?
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cześć. That's nice.
Fantastic. Pretty good.
All right. That's fantastic, Jacek. So, Jacek, finally, thank you so much for, taking time from your busy schedule. And it was lovely conversing with you through this, through this medium. I just had every, lovely conversation with you through this session, talking about your journey, working as an application designer at the Poznan University of Technology. Then along with that, your take on how well, the exploration path needs to be in the IT industry and the key takeaways that you had, being part of the head of IT infrastructure in that famous tire manufacturing company, and how you overcame, that French, let's say that is, the French language barrier, which was okay. That is also inspirational. So I really loved every conversation, to sum it up. It was really lovely. So thank you so much, Jacek, for this lovely opportunity. It was
my pleasure. Thank you. Really.
Yeah. Thank you,
Jacek.
Jacek.
To talk to you, really.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jacek. That really means a lot. So yeah, so listeners, on this note, this is your host, Akhil Navluri, signing off. We would be back with another podcast episode with another eminent industry leader very soon. Till then, keep listening. Take care. Goodbye. Stay tuned and au revoir. Thank you.